You clicked this video because you're wondering how I passed the NPTE using this in only 6 weeks. And I'm gonna teach you how exactly I did. Lego.
It gives you also another breakdown of how much each thing is weighed. Less. They just wanted to say, hey, we want to make sure PTs are super well-rounded. Look at some of this stuff. See that I did. Okay, right here. This is it, babe.
Let me see.
This is it. This is it. Are you ready?
I'm scared. My heart is like racing.
I know my heart is. My palms are so sweaty.
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, mom's spaghetti.
Please, please, please. Okay. Oh! Oh my gosh.
You passed. Papa passed.
Taco. We're going to Hawaii.
Hey, what is up, you guys? My name is Dr. Live for Change, physical therapist, or you can call me Justin Lee. Here on this channel, you'll find videos on fitness, physical therapy, and lifestyle that helps inspire self-change. I truly believe that lifting not only weights, but also each other can help empower greatness and encourage excellence. So, whatever journey you're on, especially if you're trying to pass the NPTE, I'm here to support you and lift you up. Change people, change people. That's why we live for change people. If any of that resonates with you, feel free to subscribe and hit those notifications so you don't miss a video when it drops. Okay, so you're interested in how I passed the NPTE in only 6 weeks. It was really difficult, but I am so glad that I got it done. I remember I had over 12 weeks to study and I was procrastinating and I said, oh my gosh, 6 weeks to go, I better buckle down and get this information in my head so I can pass my exam. Now, if you are in a position like I was, I knew that I knew everything about physical therapy. I knew that I was going to be proficient as a doctor of physical therapist working in the clinic, whether that's a hospital, outpatient, whatever it is. But I needed to pass a freaking licensing exam to show my proficiency in physical therapy. So if you're like me and you're like, bruh, I know I'm gonna do well and be a great worker, but I just have to pass this freaking exam, then this video is perfect for you. Now, if you're watching and you're like, I'm kind of curious what the NPT is like, I haven't signed up for it or I haven't taken any steps yet, then this video is also helpful because I'm gonna break this video down into what the NPTE is, how many questions there are, and all of that type of stuff. So, this video is broken down into 3 sections. If you already know stuff about the NPTE, then you can fast forward to the other parts. And I'll put all the timeline stuff in the description so you know exactly where that's at. But we're gonna start this video off talking about how the NPTE works, like the questions, what types of answers, what types of environment, how much time you have, all of that stuff, right? Just the background information. So if you already know that, then move on to part 2, which is gonna be what I used to study and what materials, what exams I used to study, and how I actually studied in 6 weeks to pass my exam. All right, so how does the NPTE work? Well, just so you know, the NPTE is a computer-based program where you have to go into a testing center.
He said it was plyometric testing.
Accident said plyometric, but it's prometric testing. All right, bro, go show them some plyometrics. Go. All right, me too. We're going this way. Scheiße. Oh my gosh. Are you ready? Am I ready?
I'm not ready.
Fudge. Okay, here we go.
I'm not gonna be that douche that records in here, so peace out.
And it's like super, super, super intense. Those of you who've taken the GRE, it's kind of like that. Like you have to sign, you have to show proof of ID, you have to sign when you go in, sign when you go out, all that stuff. You can't wear hoods, all of that type of stuff. So it's pretty intense once you're in that testing environment. Now, this computer-based program has 250 questions, where 50 of them, 50, is not used to test you. It's basically a way for the NPTE to sample some questions to see if they like some or don't like some, or see how students are performing, and maybe they'll use that in future exams. So basically, you'll be graded on 200 questions. Now, there are 5 sections for the NPTE, right? 50 questions each. And in all 5 sections, you have 5 hours. 5 hours to take the whole entire exam. Now, you have a scheduled break after the second section, right before the third, if you want to take that break. And then after that, you have no scheduled breaks unless you want to get up and go. Now, check this out. That scheduled break after the second section, your time doesn't keep going, meaning the time pauses. You have, I think it's like 10 or 15 minutes, go use the bathroom, get a snack, do all that types of stuff. If you're like me, I did some push-ups and some squats in the hallway just to get the blood flow going. I'm not joking. If you want a scheduled break though, however, if it's not after that second one, then you can take some breaks after the third, fourth section or whatnot. But just know that your time will still be going. Now, there is not a time limit per section. So you basically just have your whole 5 hours to take the entire exam. Now, it's good to understand that the types of questions asked in the NPTE are not, there's no questions that say answers A and B, or answers B and C, or all of the above, or none of the above. Woo! When I learned that information, I was like, wow, I'm dodging that bullet, because I don't know about you, but for me, I performed very, very, very poorly on those types of questions, and I was so glad that the NPTE was not going to have questions like that. Now, it's also good to know that you cannot go to previous sections. So once you finish section 1 and you're ready to go to section 2, you can't go back. So just make sure that as you go in section 1, you can go back to the questions, but once you move on to the next section, you cannot go back to section 1. All right, so when I was studying for this, I made a video about the breakdown of each type of questions, and I used actually the Score Builders book. So we're gonna be talking about that right now.
So if you look at the percentage wise, this is kind of like how much percent each thing is going to be. Like that's the bulk of whatever it is for this exam. So about 33% is going to be foundations for evaluation, differential diagnosis, and prognosis. We got 25% for PT eval, examination, 27% for interventions, so on and so forth for your breakdowns here. Now, I also was able to kind of pull in this page. And this was pretty cool too, because now with your systems, like I was mentioning, musculoskeletal, all of that, it gives you also another breakdown of how much each thing is weighed, pretty much. So musculoskeletal, we got 27.75%, nervous system 23%, cardiopulm 12.75%, integumentary, metabolic, so on and so forth. So you guys can see and read all of that. Go ahead and pause this video so you guys can read that here, okay? And then it's kind of cool because it kind of gives you a bar graph, or for you visual learners, bar graph and pie graph over here. Yeah, so obviously you can see that the musculoskeletal is going to be the most questions about 55 questions. The whole exam is about 250 questions, and there's 50 like tests. Like they're trying to test the questions to see if it's actually a good one. So that's why a lot of people feel like they failed the exam because they're like, dude, this was so hard. And that's a pretty common reaction that a lot of people get. But you also have to realize, like, out of the 250 questions, 50 of them are kind of like testing. So they may or may not be extra hard or whatnot. But yeah, so we have the musculoskeletal over here, and then neuro is going to be the next bigger portion. Then you have other systems and so on and so forth. Other systems are going to be more like this stuff. So you have integumentary, metabolic, lymphatic, GI, that kind of stuff. And we were warned about this because before this, other systems category was actually a lot less. But for some reason, they just wanted to say, hey, we want to make sure PTs are super well-rounded, and they want to make sure that we know about the lymphatic and the GI system and endocrine and all of that. So they made this a lot more. So as you can see, the kind of breakdown is like musculoskeletal, nervous system, and then other systems comes in third.
Okay, so let's talk about what material I used to study. Now, there's a lot of material out there and everyone's gonna have their own biases. So this is my video and I'm gonna talk about what I did. So don't be bashing on me for what I did or whatnot, but I'm just gonna say that this is what I used and I passed in 6 weeks. So something worked, okay? So if you're gonna buy anything, buy this guy. This is Score Builders, all right? I don't know if you can see. Score Builders PT Exam, the complete study guide by Scott Giles, I don't know. But when you buy this book, it actually comes with 3 exams that you can take. And this book is divided into all those different subjects like we talked about. So if you guys like organization, this is the book for you. So you have a breakdown of each subject. So like on top you have musculoskeletal right here, if you can see. And then you go into different other areas like neuromuscular, right? And so on and so forth, okay? So this book is divided into different colors and that's the different sections. Now in each section, they go through and they talk about the different stuff that you have to learn, right? So like pretty much like you reading the book, but it gives you a summary of all the books or everything that you're learning. Now, after you get all that information, there's the second part, a part B, that talks about the clinical application templates. Now, in this part, it's important because they break it down into gold, silver, and bronze, where gold means, hey, this is where they're gonna talk about the most. So you gotta pay attention to these gold parts, right? So we got gold over here. Let me just show you. And we talk, and it goes through a bunch of stuff like diagnosis, examination, what you're looking for, what types of interventions you should be going through, right? Management, comparison, stuff like that. So the gold is gonna be the most information, then the silver is medium, and then bronze is like a little bit. So just to prioritize how you're studying so that you're not wasting your time looking through like the bronze stuff or the things that don't have enough information. The point of this video for you guys, especially if you're trying to take the NPTE, is to really utilize your time so that you're most productive, right? Like, I totally get it. Like, you have things to do, you're busy, you got side hustles going on. Like, you just need to pass this freaking exam. So I'm gonna teach you how to do that right now. And you better be paying attention to these gold sections and the sections that have the most dense amount of questions. That's like the strategy we're taking here. All right, so that's enough of that. So this NPTE is basically what I used to study. This was the main hub. This was like what I buckled down and like grinded on understanding and absorbing this information. Now, when it came to some practice tests, what I used was one test from the Therapy Ed book. One of my friends had it, or I think they got a hand-me-down from someone else. And in the book, in the back, manually, you're able to read through the questions, and I was able to mark down A, B, C, or D. And then their answers were in the back as well, so I was able to check that really quick. So it was really easy for me to use someone else's book and take the same exam. That way I didn't have to waste any money. So if you have a friend who did that, awesome, or you can split with someone else to get that Therapy Ed book. Now, lastly, the last exam that I took was the PEAT, P-E-A-T, PEAT. And that's through the FSBPT website. And that exam is actually supposed to be the most accurate or the most comparable to the actual NPTE exam. So I would highly recommend that you get 1 or 2 of those and take that exam either in the middle or at the end of your study timeline, so you have a really good and honest standing of where you're at in comparison to the actual NPTE. Now, I just got 1 of those and I bought it and took the test near the end, and I did decently well on it, where it's like, okay, if I pass that, then I'm gonna pass my NPTE. And yeah, that's it. I just used those 3 materials and I was able to pass. So, right, Scott Giles, Score Builders, your Therapy Ed, and then the PEAT. All right, so the moment you guys have been waiting for. How the heck did I pass the NPTE by only studying for 6 weeks? Now, just know that when I was studying for these 6 weeks, I was not doing anything. I cleared my schedule, I got the table and I went woof, okay? All gone, empty table, no work, no obligations, no clinical rotations, nothing. I just had my wife, and my wife can sometimes be a little spicy. My wife is a spicy Latina, and she goes, "Hey you, why you don't spend time with me, huh? Hey, you better spend more time with me than me spending time making these tamales. Hey, we better go out and get some dessert or I'm gonna dessert you." All right, okay. Well, spicy Latina wives, anybody? Give this a like, comment below, let me know, because we understand each other. Them spicy Latinas. Muy picante. I just joke. You know, the Latin culture loves to tease, and I love to tease my wife. So my wife is a spicy Latina. Hey, who would have known, huh? Okay, so just to let you know, I cleared my schedule, so I had nothing going on. So full-time studying, just I said 6 weeks, I'm gonna dive into this. This is going to be my life. And that's what I did. So this is what I did for the next 6 weeks, okay? I'm gonna show you a template, or basically like a little outline of what I did. So week 1, I just went through this whole damn thing, okay? So I went through each section by section. So you have your orange, your red, all that color stuff. I just went through the whole thing from beginning to end. It took me about 2 full weeks to get through the whole thing for the first time. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it was very dry, very hard, but I knew, hey, if I study this thing, if I understand it, I'm gonna pass. So I went through the book and I took the first exam. And for those of you who don't know, the Score Builders is really cool because when you take the online exam, they give you a breakdown of things that you did, of how many questions you did well on, you didn't do well on, what each section, how you performed in each section, and what types of questions. So level 1, 2, and 3, beginning, intermediate, and advanced questions, what types of questions you got right and wrong in. So I love the analysis part of it. So it helped me to really hone in and focus on, hey, I'm really struggling in cardiopulmonary. I better read and understand this material very well. So the first 2 weeks, I studied through the whole damn book and then took the first exam after that. Then what I learned from the exam, or what I got wrong from the exam, I spent week 3 to really hone in and focus on what I need to improve on. Now, I went through the entire book again, but the areas that I did pretty well, I just kind of skimmed and reviewed. And in the areas that needed a lot of work, I spent my time slowed down and spent my time just understanding that material. So week 3, no exams, I just went and reviewed everything. Week 4, the start of the week, I finished up going through the entire book again, right? Just finishing up what I didn't finish up last week. And then at the end of week 4, I took exam number 2. Now at this point, same thing, right? I should be getting a little bit more knowledge. I reviewed everything. I focused on the areas that I was low on. So my score should be a little bit higher. And that's exactly what happened. You do want to go back, review, and then take the exam again. And you should see your score get a little bit higher. And week 5, I basically did the same thing. So week 5, I got the results from the second exam, I reviewed it. I went through the entire book again, skimmed through the stuff that I already knew and just reviewed that really quick, and then really focused in on the areas that I needed a lot of work. Now, personally for me, cardio palm again was really low the second time around. So I said, God dang it, I need to get this thing down. So I spent a little bit more time focusing on cardio palm because I knew that that was like anchoring me down, bro, you know? So week 5, I went through everything, focused on those areas, and I took my last exam that I got from this book again. And once again, you should see that trend kind of go up, up, and up. Now this last one that I took actually was about the same as my second one. So you can imagine I was a little bit frustrated, right? I was like, dang it, I'm not doing so hot. And the scores that I was getting on these exams, I wasn't passing. So I told myself, okay, I need a little bit more practice. So by the end of week 5 and week 6, I really honed down and I said, I need to study like hard in these areas that I'm lacking. So I had 3 exams where I had the analysis of which areas were lacking the most, and I really spent some time reviewing that stuff. I didn't go and skim through the other stuff like as I did before. I just focused on those areas that I went through. Now, at this point, I went through all 3 exams, right? So I have no more. So I said, hey, let me go take another exam through a different company called Therapy Ed. And I talked about this earlier. I'd used my friend's Therapy Ed book and they have the exams in the book. So I just went through it all. And so what happened is when I took that Therapy Ed course, now the score went a little bit up, right? So I was like, yes, boom, dopamine hit. I'm on the right track. And I still felt that I wasn't quite ready. So what I did is by the end of the week 6, what happened is I took that exam, right? I reviewed what I was missing on and I went through the book one more time. And then by the end of week 6, I took the PEAT exam. And when I took that exam, thank goodness I got a passing score. And I told myself, perfect. 6 weeks, I grinded, I went through this whole thing, and this PEAT exam, which is most similar to the actual NPTE, I got a passing score. That gave me the confidence to know that, okay, I'm on the right track here. So by the end of the week 6, I went through the PEAT, learned what I needed to learn, focused on what I was going like at a deficit in, and I just reviewed. So by the time the exam time came, which was in week 7, I think it was on a Wednesday or something, I basically just reviewed for the first couple days of the week, Sunday and Monday, and then on Tuesday I didn't do anything. I chilled, I relaxed, I made this brain just say, calm down, you know the information, you're good to go. And those of you who are taking any exams, whether it's the NPTE or your exams in your classes or your courses like biology, chemistry, anything like that, I recommend the same strategy. The day before, just chill. Don't do anything. You don't want to cram, you don't want to overwhelm your brain. And so the day before I chilled, the day of, just lightly reviewed some things. I made some study cards and some notes, just reviewed that. Went in for the exam, took the test. It was really intense, I gotta say, but I did it, you know, and I went through it and I was eagerly anticipating my score, you know, going through my own mind. I passed, I didn't pass. If I didn't pass, what am I gonna do? I have to take the test again. That means I'm gonna delay my process. That means my job waiting in Hawaii, they're gonna have to tell them like, hey, you can't actually hire me because I failed. And all of that just went through my head. If this is you, if you're the type of person that's really in your head too, and you're like, you know, I can't, you just spiral. If that's you, comment below. Let's talk, because I know exactly what that feels like. But good news, y'all. Everything ends with great news, right? The time came where they released the scores, and when they released it, oh, bro, I cried. Ah, man, that very anxious time, especially in the 6 weeks leading up to the exam, waiting and getting the scores released. I felt like a lot of my identity was all in that exam, you know, like if I failed, what would that mean to me? Does that mean I'm not qualified for this position? What would my friends say? What would my family say? And there were so many thoughts and anxious doubts that were just going through, imposter syndrome, all of that stuff just going through my mind. But when I saw that I passed, right, P-A-S-S-E-D in that circle that's like blue, let's go, baby! I was like, oh my gosh. You guys saw the video. I was ecstatic. I just didn't know what to say. The tears were just crying because I was just working so hard. And that can happen for you too. If you follow this, then maybe you can pass in 6 weeks just like I did. Now, my score, I didn't get like the most best score ever, right? So the score is based out of 800. So 800 is perfect. I barely passed, and 600 is passing. I got like 650 something. And that's fine, you know, it's okay. Like your identity is not determined on how well you do on the NPTE. I promise you, you will not get a raise, you will not get a better job, you will not get a better position by how high you scored on your licensing exam. As long as you have something that shows that you passed above 600, you're Gucci, all right? You're good. You don't have to worry. So just like me, take for example, 6 weeks, got it done, 650, kind of barely passed, but guess what? I'm a licensed physical therapist. I'm working just like someone else who had got 800 on their exam, perfect score. I'm making the same amount of money, we're doing the same amount of hours, and guess what? Our clinical reasoning is exactly the same. Just because someone got a little bit higher doesn't necessarily make them more qualified than you. So take my words of encouragement. If you're at this point right now and you're like, I don't know what to do because I've been cramming for this exam, that's what I did. And if you're on that same track, I'm here to tell you that there's hope, that you can pass this, that you can absolutely get to the point where you will pass your NPTE. You worked so hard for the last 3 years to get here, right? You passed all your exams, all your clinicals, all your didactics, all your labs. That proves that you're qualified. So don't let one book, one exam stop you from achieving the greatest potential that you can possibly have as a physical therapist. It's just one little obstacle, maybe a little bit of a big obstacle, you know? But once you get over that, you are going to impact so many people. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like even the littlest interventions, the littlest treatments, the smallest modification, just a little bit of education. When you start working as a physical therapist, your impact and your influence that you have on the population is amazing. And I'm really learning when I'm working as a physical therapist now of how much impact I can actually have on someone's life. So that's gonna be you. And I promise you, it's worth it. If you have any questions regarding this whole video, regarding this book, where I got this book, what process you should take in your specific situation, I'm here to support you and help you out. If you want to have a private conversation, make sure you email me at liveforchange@gmail.com and we can set up a one-on-one video chat service and talk about that. Or if you're open with the public, put it in the comments. Maybe someone in this community can help you out. So I hope this video helped inspire you to say, hey, maybe I can actually pass this thing in 6 weeks. Or maybe you're like 6 weeks, that's too short. I need at least 10 or 12 weeks. But whatever decision you make, I'm here to support you and I'm always here to help you out along your physical therapy journey. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, please give this a like. If you know anyone who's studying for their NPTE prep right now, please share this video with them to help inspire them that it's okay, that they can keep going, that they can keep grinding, and that it's going to be worth it. Stay lifting, stay aloha. Have a great one, you guys.